Okay, we are recording. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're joining us from. This is our Developer User Group first meetup in a long time. I think about 8 months. Life has been busy. I think a lot of things happened in the past 7, 8 months. Rafael, I know he has been working on some great stuff on the Help Center theming. And today we'll go through some of the updates that hit the developer topics, specifically in terms of the templating API, the Zendesk application frameworks. This is just an overview of the latest updates, something to pick up the pace, start our regular meetings again. First, I'm going to start with introduction. I'm Ahmed Zaid. I am the Developer User Group co-lead. Normally, I am based in Munich, Germany, but today I'm joining from Kuala Lumpur, where it's 10 p.m. my time. It's hot, it's humid, and it's lively as ever. Let us know where you're joining us from. Wow, Susan, must be super early for you.
7 o'clock, not too early for me.
Okay,
7, that's normal.
that's great. Okay, so we'll try to start with the updates at 10 minutes past. In the meantime, feel free to, if it's your first time or if you'd like to refresh our memories, feel free to take the microphone, open your camera if you wish, no pressure. Introduce yourself, what you've been working on. Um, the floor is open.
Hey team, this is Ian. I'm over here at Open Methods. This is my first time joining one of these events, but lately I've been working with customers from Zendesk, interacting with different systems like Salesforce and Jira, and pulling information, pushing information, things like that to external systems.
Welcome, Ian. Great to have you. Where are you joining us from?
I'm over in Ohio, so Eastern.
Great. Thank you.
Mhm.
And also Jarek Davis from Open Methods. Excited to be here from Kansas City.
Welcome, Jarek.
Hi there, I'm Mohammed from Leicester. First time on this group. Been using Zendesk for quite a while, but starting getting into more of the development work, creating apps. So hopefully this will be useful for me.
Thanks, Mohammed. Great having you. And we really hope it will be useful for you as well. So here with his camera on as well is Rafael Santos, the other co-lead of the group. Rafael, would you like to say a word?
Yeah, thanks. So I've been using Zendesk for 5 years, mostly as an admin, now mostly as a developer with Zendesk apps, with themes and integrations on the backend. Yeah, happy to co-host this with Hamed for the user group. Pardon for not having any events over the past 8 months. We've been extra busy and trying to tackle that. In the meantime, both of us on our own orgs. And yeah, hoping to have more events in the meantime. By the way, in the next few minutes, I'm going to publish a new event with Zendesk Product Manager for support apps and APIs, and I'll share the link in the chat here so that you can then sign up for the next month's event as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Rafael. Anyone else would like to take the mic before we start with our updates?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and introduce myself. My name's Brock, and I've been working a lot on like onboarding projects and doing a lot of the data push pull and getting more familiar with that. And Zendesk has been my first way into learning more about like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, API, and I've really been digging it. And I just kind of want to keep on sharpening my axe, developing and learning other folks. So thanks for putting this on.
Thanks, Brooke. Great having you again. Okay, I think we can start if someone wants to pick the mic last thing. No. Okay, perfect. We can start. So we have a few updates that you may have noticed in the announcement or in the community, in the developer Slack, in the GitHub updates, if you're subscribed to any of them. We're going to start with the Zendesk API updates. This, for those who are interested, let's see what is going to happen with Zendesk DCLI app scaffolds and Zendesk application frameworks. Last but not least, Raphael will pick up the topic of the new templating API version 4 and all the exciting things that come with it. So the first thing we have is the Zendesk APIs. If you have been using it for a while, and if you've been subscribed, you may have noticed that the basic authentication with the username and password is being deprecated. If this is inactive for you, you have about a week. On the 31st of July, it will stop completely. You will not see this option anymore in your admin center. If it's already on, then you have until the end of next year to use basic authentication with username and password. Zendesk is pushing for the more secure options, API tokens, and even better, the OAuth clients. Raphael, I'm not looking at the comments actively. If there's anything, feel free to interrupt me with any questions or any comments.
Yeah, well, I'll be sharing links as you speak along about the news. If I find any relevant links, just share here the topic for the developer updates on the Help Center. My recommendation is for all of you to add a follow so that you get emails directly whenever Zendesk publishes one of those new articles.
These are also, you'll find them in the Zendesk API changelog, which we try to keep an eye on from time to time. The second update from last month is about the new endpoints for the account availability API. Basically, it's an endpoint that allows you to check if there is availability in a specific group. You provide the group ID, you find out how many agents are available for messaging or for live chat or for talk, what is the total capacity, the maximum capacity, and what is the consumed capacity. Such endpoint would have been really helpful for me about a year ago when I was implementing a solution to determine the flow in the Zendesk Answer bot, which is now the AI agents, to display the step to transfer to an agent based on availability, so that you would set expectation that there's someone available or not. Now, luckily, there is a better solution out of the box. I believe there is a beta for average wait time for messaging that you can utilize. But if you still prefer the custom solution that to check exactly your availability of your team based on your group before you determine what is the next step in your AI agent, this API is going to be very helpful. Raphael can provide you with the documentation, have a look at it if you're using the omnichannel APIs. Next update is from the Zendesk integration services. So if you are using Zendesk integration services in production, welcome to the club, you're a hero. If you've started like me with the getting started tutorial about 2 years ago or 3 years ago, then you would know that it used to be impossible to keep track of what you have deployed. Basically, you selected an integration. If you didn't save the integration ID, then it's very difficult to find it after that. You wrote the bundle, and as this meme says, only God would know what was in this bundle after that. But not anymore. Starting last month, we got new API endpoints for Zendesk integration services that can deploy, that can query what are the active bundles on your instance, what are the active integrations. You can actually show a bundle. You can see or list the job specs, and then you will have greater visibility in what is happening in your instance, so that when it actually comes time to move from tutorials and go into production, you can do some cleanup. You can avoid all these conflicts that may occur from tutorial integrations that you may have built years ago and forgotten about. So this has been a requested feature for quite some time in the community. It's great to see the Zendesk teams responding to the feedback. I'm not sure if anyone here uses Zendesk integration services in production, or if you have tried or experimented with the Getting Started tutorial on Zendesk developer documentations. I don't know if Jacob is here in the meeting. I know he is one of the ZIS advocates who uses it in production. And following some of you here, I know some prefer, yeah, exactly, Michael, the workflow orchestration. This is going to be like I believe, the low-code tool that probably will be built on top of this. Hopefully, we can have a meeting or two about the very powerful capabilities that this provides you in terms of, I don't know, even bypassing some of the limitations of Zendesk triggers, or integrating Zendesk with other systems without relying on cloud services, serverless functions from an external provider. Okay, moving on to the next update. Zendesk application frameworks. If you're an app developer that joining us today, then this is what you definitely use for your development cycle. This update has been spotted on the developer Slack. I'm not sure if we can get a link for the developer Slack, Rafael, for those who are yet to join. So there's been no announcement about this yet, but there is a direction of replacing the Zendesk, the ticket comments in the app location with the ticket conversation. So if you've been using the ticket comments to parse whatever comments that you have in the ticket in your app, and then you've migrated to messaging, then you would realize that it was not providing you with the same functionality. Ticket conversation is aimed to replace the ticket comments, and the product manager was seeking feedback from the community if it would be okay to completely sunset the ticket comments in the API in the next few months. If you're in Slack, join the conversation, share your feedback. But next month, we are going to have Jen Yen, the product manager for, I believe it's Zendesk Apps framework or developer products, joining us, hopefully talking more about what is there on the roadmap for application frameworks. Okay, Ian, do you think you can completely replace the functionalities that you had with the comments, with the conversation? And do you think it will affect you deeply if this?
I do, yeah. I do think it likely would have a downstream impact on, any existing customers that might be using this API call specifically around getting the comments. I know for one customer specifically, I did move from comments to conversations, to pull their, I think it was their chat conversation at that time. But I do know that there are other customers, I believe, out there that are using, the comments, the ticket comments.
My first concern when I heard about it is if you're working in a big enterprise and the change management would take its due course, as you may know, is 6 months enough? And yeah, it feels a bit of a rush. I hope that we can have enough time to allow us to migrate. What do you think, Ian? What would be a reasonable time frame for you?
Yeah, I would push, yes, at least at minimum, I would say at minimum 6 months, just because there would be, back end work would likely have to look into and things like that on this end.
Okay, it would be great to have you on the next month meeting with Jen
Mhm.
to discuss whatever updates that there will be on the Zendesk application framework. And the next one is not really a functional update. It's more of, for us developers, aesthetic, I would say. But there is a migration initiative to move some of the Ember code of Zendesk to React. So the top bar React, we know that the top bar, we now know that it has been migrated to React. It looks a little bit different. It has better accessibility. It has a close button to the modal, but in terms of all functionalities and API, everything remains the same. And I would expect that we would see more of that migration initiative to React. But I wouldn't expect it to have to come with any functionality workload otherwise. Okay, next we have ZCLI and app scaffolds. This is also spotted in the Slack developer space for Zendesk developers. There is a new app scaffold in the making using Vite for React. So there's already an existing app scaffold for React. I believe it's using Webpack, which I have been using for the past years. I've never used Vite before, which I'm excited about.
Yeah, on my end, so I've replaced Jest with Vite so that we use Vitest instead of Jest. Maybe they'll do the same. I don't know about packing, if they'll move from Webpack to that. On the theming side, they seem to be using Rollup instead.
This should be still in discussion. I think I have the GitHub issue link here. Let me try to get it.
Is it on ZCLI's repo? I've just linked it below.
No, it's in the app scaffold.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if you can see it. So join the discussion if there's anything that you want to see in the new scaffold. For me personally, what I'm looking forward to is moving between different environments. So let's say you right now you only have one config file for your environment variables for your settings, and you would have to come up with your own script to move between environments, move the CCLI config from your production to your developer environment and vice versa. So this is done in your probably the node scripts. I believe that there might be functionality for this in the new scaffold. Something I would also like to see is perhaps if we can merge this or like combine this with an update to ZCLI to capture the installation ID when you deploy an app or where when you create it for the first time. If you have this installation ID, it can, and if you inject it in the ZCLI config file, then it can help you test with secure settings without coming up with all sorts of workarounds. So when you're in your actual environment serving the local files, you can still access the secure settings in the proxy layer. This is something that I personally look forward to. Thanks, Ravel, for posting the link. Join the discussion, post your feedback. I'm sure that many developers have their own boilerplate or a modified scaffold for the apps that they work with. So it would be great to share that with the community. Okay, the next update is the Help Center Templating API version 4. And for that, I am passing to Rafael, our in-house theme development expert. Over to you.
Oh, thank you. I don't know about the expert, but that's what I've been focusing the past 4 months on revamping our own brand Help Center theme. And the timing is terrible because Zendesk just happened to release beginning of this month the API v4, which would have made the work a lot easier. Especially what I've seen the team do over the v4 alpha is that they've replaced most of the new request page template with React styled components using their React components library that we can share here. It's really cool, and they've introduced a new helper object called JSON, where we can now deconstruct objects passed through and the theming API. And there are now also new JavaScript objects available for us to iterate through, like props, where we can find all the elements for the new ticket forms fields, their properties, the different ticket form list, the type of fields that we're targeting, the submit button, and a lot of accessory information. I'm going to share here links for what to look for. So there's the announcement article, the new Copenhagen theme repo on Zendesk GitHub, and then also the guide to migrate from V3 to V4, which also includes from V1 to V2 if you haven't yet, and V2 to V3 respectively. However, if you're migrating from V1 or V2, my best recommendation is really to clone Zendesk's repo on V4 that they have on their GitHub and customize it to your branding and to your functional requirements, because otherwise the migration will take a lot of effort, and you'll have to find, you'll be having to migrate things over and over. That might be just easier to start from scratch with React style components, pass the styles in React style instead of what would you have before. And like they do on their repo, use Sass or CSS and building tools to develop your themes locally. And with CCLI, have a lot more iterability and customizability. So Luke, great question about the version you're using. So if you edit your theme and if you download your theme, it should be on the manifest.json file. It should have the property API version, which either be 1, 2, 3, or 4. Yeah, non-tech savvy customers will struggle with customization. My take is that with this change, especially now that it's using React, it'll either fall on having in-house development, relying on Zendesk professional services, or reaching out to the Zendesk partner network, or even purchasing a pre-built theme from the marketplace. In my organization's case, I am the one to do the development together with some other colleagues. But yeah, I totally understand. A couple of years ago, I wouldn't have been able to do it and would probably have to pay someone else to do it. So yeah, it's giving us a lot more options, but with options, yeah, the added complexity comes up. And if you can't do it with the available guides or even getting some help from good old ChatGPT and likewise tools, getting Zendesk help or from partners and so on will probably be the way to go. And thanks, Andrej. About the developer licenses, I have no idea. I'm also curious about that. But it's a great question to ask the community team, and then for them to reach out to Zendesk internals, either product or product marketing. And if you have any other questions, I'm going to be sharing the links now.
Does anyone here have experience upgrading the theme for templating version from version 2 to 3, 1 to 2?
I have not.
I'm actually about to go through this for clients who would like to upgrade any work that's been done in the past, older than a year and a half ago, perhaps, when the version 2 was still there. I found that the articles by Zendesk about the upgrade from each version to be very helpful. Basically, you scan your whole code if you're using that the helper that is expiring, or the helper that is deprecating, or changing. If you're using it, then you can adjust accordingly. I believe the only helpers that are being deprecated in the last version. I think there are only a couple of them, and they're being replaced by other helpers that are supposedly giving you more powerful capabilities. And I don't think I agree with Andrea that it's gonna make it more difficult for non-tech savvy. I think it's gonna make it a little bit easier, because you are having, for example, some capabilities in the form, the new ticket form helper, in terms of specifying the form in a multi-form instance, for example. I haven't implemented it yet, but I think if you have heavy customization, for example, selecting specific forms, hiding some of the forms from the available, you can do that. You can avoid doing that in JavaScript or in jQuery in the front end. You can even do it with the helper itself. For me, I think it makes things a little bit smoother, especially the JSON helper, which is I think Rafael would agree, makes things much more smoother in the scripts that you include in any of the templates itself.
Yeah, it's night and day. Compared with the janky implementations where I had to do string manipulation with what Zendesk was giving us, now with just JSON, I pick up the right IDs for what's needed to then add the custom functionality. But yeah, right now, focusing on launching a new Help Center theme, hopefully next week. We're currently undergoing QA. And with the JSON helper, I know that I would have saved at least 4 or 5 hours in developing some specific things.
Okay, for the question for Luke about using the APIs in the Help Center, I think we're referring to the templating API. You will find the link sent by Rafael up. Yeah, about the theming API. Yeah, he has just pinned it. So basically, it's all the helpers that are based on curly bars or handlebars modified language that would enable you to interact with the theme component directly. I think we need a series of dedicated meetings about the Help Center upgrading the templates, and I think you've been doing good work with CI/CD, right, Rafael? Deployment directly using the CLI themes.
Yes, especially customizing the theme for multiple environments so that it's functional on our staging environments, on Sandbox, and then on production, without anything breaking and taking less than 10 seconds between each if needed. So yeah, that keeps it a lot more stable. But yeah, all of these requires, of course, developing your theme locally, not on the Help Center theming workbench directly. I had seen a question about that on the platform developers Slack. Yeah, for most of these to work, especially using React and packing tools like Webpack, Rollup, and so on, it's a lot easier if you do it locally so that you can pack your assets, add any specific customizations you need, and yeah, adjust what you have for your environments and your organizations.
I agree. There are things that are impossible to do in the benchmark using the editor in the Zendesk UI, for example, having some Garden components or React components. This is going to be a nightmare doing it otherwise.
Oh, and addressing Kanrawi's question, because he says it's on 2.9.55. As far as Zendesk been going over the past years, the API theming versions haven't been made obsolete, but of course, new features aren't developed for the past versions. I think who was mentioning it just above? Oh, Michael, that he was testing the migration from V2 to V3 in Sandbox to test the new generative AI search results feature. Of course, that will only be made available in V3 and V4. So if you're looking for new updated features, you'll have to be on the most updated versions. But there haven't been any announcements that Zendesk would deprecate them, because if I recall correctly, there were thousands of customers still on API v1 that's now more than 7 years old, and there hasn't been any crisis. Don't know if any of you has any comment on that.
I think if you are referring to the version 2.9.55 of Copenhagen, then you probably won't notice even much of a difference, because most of the changes are under the hood, especially in terms of accessibility, how having the help center being accessible to, for example, screen reading devices, and those who rely on the keyboards for navigation between different parts of your theme. But the looks of it's going to be the same. And then moving to version 4, which I have not used in development environment for myself, I believe that almost everything is under the hood. Just your form probably will look the same, but the accessibility is better, the security is better. For example, in terms of keying in, if you have a credit card field, then it's already compliant to only accept the last 4 digits, for example. The developer experience can be a little bit different when you upgrade, but the user experience, if you're using Copenhagen, it's going to be the same.
And of course, if you're on the default Copenhagen theme version that you've just gotten with your default Zendesk experience, it would either get automatically upgraded to v4, or you can go on your theming workbench, get the default Copenhagen theme, and it will already be on the latest version. You just have to customize it with your brand colors, your images, and so on, if you're on that default experience. I'm hoping that with this and the other things that I've been seeing on the roadmap, it'll help us soon having more interactive components for the articles, like accordions, steppers, other sorts of collapsibles, navs, and tabs. Because yeah, those are already available, but probably soon available under the guide article editor as well, which has had a recent announcement as well, because it will now make it easier to identify code blocks within the article structure if one needs to. Andres, as far as I'm aware, no. So I've been gathering info from past Zendesk events, and also asking our specific account executive and account team for updates. It's always flexible, and yeah, they announce some stuff, and of course the dates may vary, but I think it was product manager Katerina, responsible for the guide and help center, that posted some of these in Zendesk's announcements and help center. Yeah, agreed. Especially for Zendesk partners, it would be great to have some things in advance, because otherwise can't really prepare on time, especially with small teams.
We will try to in the next meeting to have a better picture of what the Zendesk application frameworks team have for on their roadmap. I'm not sure if they will share a roadmap with us, but we can question them. We can gather question for everything that you're interested in. For the guide templating team or the Copenhagen development team, we can also try to arrange something with the team, hopefully the following meeting. So this is the best part about the developer user group. We can gather our feedback. We can request time with Zendesk product managers in the areas that we are interested in. Maybe do some grilling a little bit, share the feedback.
Yeah, so that's one of the objectives of the next couple of sessions. We're planning to have at least 2 listening sessions with Zendesk product managers, and if they can as well, bring in some internal members of the Zendesk engineering teams, so that we can all talk about some of these pain points and what's the direction of the Zendesk platform, and for us as developers and admins to share feedback with them so they can also steer in the right direction. Again, I'm going to reshare the link here in the chat so that you can take a look. Of course, I'd be really happy if you could sign up so that you can then get the news and the recording if you're not able to join.
Okay, so that would be the end of what we prepared. The upcoming event is on the 14th of August, same time. Let us know what other topics that you would like to discuss, which teams on Zendesk you are interested to deliver your feedback and questions for, and we'll try to arrange with them. Actually, we did hear from the community team that some of the product managers are willing with the developer user group. So that will be a great chance for us. Is there any question about development topic that you would like to seek the community try to dedicate an upcoming meeting for?
I think I'm super interested in the Zendesk theming, and then I was just learning about like the V3, and then now it's V4, and it's just like kind of cool what you can do in the help center, right, with the CSS or HTML or even custom forms. So it'd just be really cool seeing like what it looks like on an expert screen as I'm learning and just seeing what's possible, because it's just so cool like what you can do on the help center.
Absolutely, the community is a great place to simply sometimes there are the recipes of the cool things that you can implement in your theme, or simply you have a question or a use case, you ask it, and then there are so many helpful people that can actually deliver to you the code where you add the code in your theme, and then voila, your use case has been met. Things get outdated a little bit if you see something that from 4 or 5 years ago, a recipe from 4 or 5 years ago, and you can find that these topics are being reopened. Okay, this is how it works with the latest the version 3, version 4. But yeah, you can always get your questions answered on the Zendesk community for help center customization, whether you have a use case or whether you're looking for inspiration of something cool to implement.
All right, cool. Thanks, man.
Yeah, about those, I've just shared in the chat 2 different articles that the Zendesk community team keeps up for the Help Center templating and JavaScript cookbooks, gathering many different recommendations that users have left in the community over time. Although I recommend most of them, because most still use things like jQuery, which I haven't recommended to anyone in more than 5 years.
Yeah, and I don't know what jQuery is, and like, would you tell me like why you would say something like that?
So it's a JavaScript library that was really useful about 10, 12 years ago, possibly a little bit more even. But in the meantime, JavaScript's runtime and versions have more things implemented natively. And right now, the most efficient and clean way to do things no longer passes by using those specific libraries, either because it's easier to do something without an external library, or there are better libraries nowadays that have had
Okay.
more maintenance, more features, more cleanups.
Okay, cool. Thanks so much.
Yeah, you got it. And just saw Lydia's question in the chat. So the best alternative I can recommend is using pure JavaScript Queen without any other libraries and just using the native modules. And then depending on your requirements, there may be some specific things to use. But for help center theming, I believe you'd be okay without any external libraries. But then for specific customization, you could go with specific frameworks like React, Vue, Angular, and so on. And if no one has any other questions, I think we can wrap up for today and meet in 3 weeks with a session with Jennifer Yim.
Well, thanks so much for your day, y'all.
Likewise, have a good one.
Thanks, everyone. See you next time.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Thank you.